Hello, everybody, and welcome to ShootDotEdit's online training. Today, we're talking about how to use Facebook and Instagram ads for your wedding photography business with Jesse and Becky. My name is Jared Bauman. I'm the president of ShootDotEdit. I'll be your host today with the majority of the training being conducted by Jesse and Becky. So for those of you guys who've joined us for one of these before, this is probably pretty standard. But if this is your first time, some of the just a couple minutes of introductions that'll probably help your experience out. We really encourage you to use the chat feature. It's located on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll be asking questions throughout the online training today, but the best part about this is that it's interactive. You can carry on conversations with other attendees and get all your questions answered. Take note that the chat conversations are live, so please be mindful and respectful in that regard. Let's see. For those of you who are new to ShootDotEdit, let me just give you a little background on us. We are the first choice post-processing partner for the Wedding Pro and everything that the Wedding Pro shoots. We make your images look consistent. We match your style, and we do it faster than anybody else in the industry. We provide turnaround time as fast as 48 hours. If you are interested in learning more about ShootDotEdit, you can head to our website, or if you'd like, you can use the chat feature there. And Caitlin is also manning the chats today and can answer any of your questions. For today's training, we've partnered up with Cole's Classroom. Cole Joseph started Cole's Classroom to serve two main objectives. One, to create and foster a supportive and inspirational community of aspiring up-and-coming photographers. Get your questions answered without the fear of ridicule or rejection. And the second reason is to break down confusing photography concepts and techniques into very simple lessons that any photographer can understand and apply right away. So thank you to Cole's Classroom for helping today and helping support these online trainings that we do. Let's talk about what we're talking about today. If I could just kind of segue over to Becky and Jesse, how to use Facebook and Instagram ads. So no secret, Facebook, Instagram, billions of users are using these social media platforms. And Facebook and Instagram ads are really actually a pretty fast way to place your images and your message in front of your ideal clients. That process, though, it changes quite often. It can be quite challenging to master. Many photographers have shared with us in the past about how they've spent some money on ads and it hasn't gone well, or they weren't able to really track whether it did go well or not. So today, we're going to be talking about how you can quickly learn the ins and outs of the advertising platform to expand your reach on both Facebook and on Instagram. Jesse and Becky of IDEALUST are going to share how to create effective ads that get you the results you need to book clients and grow your photography business. Again, this is specifically about Facebook and about Instagram. So anyways, Jesse, Becky, you guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Jared.
Hello, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having us. We're super excited just to hang out with you guys and let you guys know about what's worked for us and what's working for our clients, and hopefully we can get you on that right track too.
It's such a pertinent topic because Facebook and specifically Instagram. I mean, Instagram really, both platforms seem really ideally suited for a wedding photographer, and yet so many photographers have talked about the fact that, kind of like I said in the intro there, how do I know what's working? How do I not know what's working? Where do I go with this? It just seems to be a very confusing platform for photographers when it comes to the advertising section specifically. So I'm really glad you guys are joining us today and kind of going through that. Would you say today is more theoretical or more practical in terms of what people are going to learn?
I'd say there's a little mix of both. We'll be talking a little bit about the ads at the end and actually creating the ads, because I'm guessing that, especially for photographers, what we run into is it's not necessarily creating the ad that's the hard part for them. And we'll definitely give you some tips and let you guys know how to do that to make sure that they are effective. But it's a lot of the follow-up, a lot of the stuff that happens outside of the ad, which actually makes your ad successful or not. And we'll talk a lot about that and getting you guys started and giving you guys some theory, but also a lot of practical things about, hey, this is what you need to make your ad successful, because you can't say, oh, I spent $100 on Facebook this month and that's what makes that ad successful. No, you want to see inquiries, you want to see bookings coming in the door from that, and a lot of that happens obviously outside of the ad. So we'll be talking a lot about that too.
Okay, that's it reminds me. I used to shoot weddings quite a bit, and it reminds me a little bit of when you would take out like a magazine ad, and you'd never really know if it was working or not. You might get a call or two that somebody said, "I heard about you in the magazine," but by and large, the success came in a magazine ad, at least, came from the branding and from some of the other things, because it just wasn't possible to track. And so what really is great is I think today is going to help demystify that process so that you don't feel like Facebook ads or Instagram ads are like a magazine ad that you can't track, that you can't see the results from. Today, Jesse and Becky are going to kind of go through how to actually track those results. I mean, not specifically, but generally, so you can see the results in your business and you can actually see tangible ways your business is growing because of that.
Yep, definitely. We're super excited about that.
All right. Well, I'm not going to get in your way. Go for it, guys. Like I mentioned, if you guys have questions, the chats are a great spot to present those questions with each other. And this is a topic where sharing would just be so beneficial. Everybody can kind of share about some of the things that are working for them and whatnot. We will be asking questions, many of them at the end and a few as we're going. But by and large, it's going to be Jesse and Becky teaching you guys the whole way through. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jared. We're so pumped to be here, and we just love working with creative entrepreneurs, especially photographers, because that's our background as well. So Jesse and I are so excited to share how we went from relying solely on referrals and then getting into Facebook and Instagram ads.
Yeah, and we're excited because these are the exact strategies, the things that we've used in our own businesses, whether that's our photography business, whether that's our coaching business, and the same strategies that we use a lot of our photography clients use to grow their businesses too. And I really want you to make sure that you guys all listen to what I'm about to say. I almost got Southern there for a second.
He's not Southern at all. He's a SoCal boy.
But if we would have known some of these strategies when we started our photography business, LIMELIFE Photography, some of these things didn't even exist. Instagram didn't really exist. Facebook ads didn't exist back then. But if we would have been able to use these things, our business would have grown so much faster. And I wish we could have had this tool available to us. But since we didn't, Becky and I had to come up with some of our own kind of crazy strategies early on.
Yeah, and in those early years of our photography business, some of those things panned out really well, and some of those definitely didn't. I remember before we even had our first website, or I think before we even decided on our name, LIMELIFE Photography, I made these flyers. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm a horrible designer. So these flyers looked pretty bad. But anyway, I made these flyers and I literally passed them out at a park to families. And the flyer offered a $50 family photo session. And I would walk around and hand them out to parents and hope that people would book me.
Thankfully, marketing has come a long way since then.
So, I sort of laugh at this now because it seems sort of crazy, but I know that we all have done things like this. And I hope that you guys let me know in the chat box if you've done things that make you cringe early on in your photography business. But we all try things. So obviously, Jesse and I didn't really have a clue how we were going to get clients in 2009 when we first started LIMELIFE. Like Jesse was saying, Instagram didn't exist. Never mind Instagram ads. Facebook ads didn't really exist. So eventually, once we figured things out, we resorted to what most of you are probably currently doing. And that's this. We put a ton of time and energy into giving our clients such an incredible experience and product that they couldn't help but refer us to their friends, which is an incredible strategy. And it's one we still use to this day. But it can take years to see results with that kind of work. And it did take us years to get our photography business to the place where we could both go full time and we didn't have to rely, just on those word of mouth referrals. And, we finally got to the place where we were happy with our prices, where our work was being featured on some of our favorite sites like Green Wedding Shoes, and clients were seeking us out. So once we finally got to that place, we were so excited about it. We wanted to help other photographers do the same thing. And that's why we started IDEALUST.
Totally. And when we first started IDEALUST, our coaching business, we were committed to working even smarter. We grew our business in months instead of years, and not because we necessarily worked harder, but because we strategically used the marketing tools available to us. And one huge way that was possible was because we were able to use, what we learned about Instagram and Facebook ads through our photography business. And that's one of the key ways we're helping our one-on-one clients grow their photography businesses too. But before opportunities arose and money started coming in, a few things really had to change for us. And I should say we had to change a few things in order to make some of that stuff happen in our businesses, because we had to kind of make a shift in our mindset. Like Becky was talking about, we get stuck in this mindset of word of mouth referrals and pouring into our clients, which is a great strategy. There is nothing. In fact, if you aren't doing those things, that's probably a great place to start and pour in every single client that you have. And the strategy that we're going to talk about today and how you can use Instagram and Facebook ads is so incredible because it gives a proven solution to the question that we get asked most.
Yeah, and what do you think that question is? I'm curious if you have an idea of that. What is the #1 challenge photographers face? Let me know that in the chat box. Maybe what's the #1 challenge that you face? Almost all of our coaching clients hire us to help them fix this problem, and they all say the same thing. And the problem is simple.
Yeah, it's that you don't get enough inquiries or leads, which doesn't give you enough clients, and your revenue suffers. Your income isn't high enough to be able to go full time, or you're constantly stressed, or you're worried where your next booking is going to come from. It creates frustration, and it makes you feel a little wild and crazy at times. Like you kind of want to just run and hide, and it makes you second guess if running this business is worth it in the first place.
Yeah, and Jesse and I know firsthand these frustrations because we've experienced them ourselves. But I just want you to imagine, just for a second, think about this. What would it would be like if you were to invest $100 in your business and know that you were going to book $1,000 out, or if you were to invest $500 and make $5,000 out. Let me know if you can get on board with that idea. If you think that's a good idea, Jesse and I definitely think it's a good idea. It took us a while to get there, but now we absolutely live by it.
Yeah, so let's talk about some ways that we can make this happen for you. So what are you actually going to learn today? We're going to first show you the 2 essential parts of any good ad campaign, any ad campaign that's going to be successful. Then we're going to talk about the specifics of each of those parts. And we're not just going to talk about the ad campaigns like, oh yes, this may work just once. No, we want to help you build a machine that you can turn on the faucet and you can start seeing results over and over and over again. Then we're going to put it all together, put those 2 parts together, and just show you just how easy it can be to actually create the ad, and give you some tips about how you can make those ads eye-catching and engaging, so that people are actually excited to see your ads. And by the end of this training, you'll know how to use Instagram and Facebook ads to grow your photography business. All right, so let's just go ahead and dive right in there.
Okay, before you can get started using Facebook and Instagram ads to their fullest potential, you just have to take a step back and look at the big picture. You want to advertise with a purpose. All too often, we see people trying to use Facebook and Instagram to grow their businesses without any purpose. And to be honest, Jesse and I have done it too before, and it's a complete waste. We've boosted a post, or we put up an ad on a whim, and we heard nothing but crickets, and we were really frustrated. So instead, we're going to teach you how to create a plan and make your ads and the money you're putting behind them really, really count. So to be profitable with Instagram or Facebook ads, there needs to be 2 very distinct parts to your marketing plan. The first part is what you're actually putting out there as your ad, and your ad can look very different depending on what you're advertising, and we'll get more into this in a second. The next part is making sure you have a marketing plan and you aren't just boosting a random post because you think people are going to like it. This game plan is called a funnel, which is everything outside of your ads, like specific pages on your website or what you're offering in your ads. And the funnel is just a fancy term for how you're going to take a potential client from being out there in the world, never hearing of you, not having a clue about who you are or what your business is, and introducing yourself to them and then turning them into a client eventually. If you do not have a funnel, your ads will probably fail. So I just want you to really hear me on that one. If you don't have a funnel or that marketing plan, your ads are probably going to fail. And we're going to show you how to build a successful funnel for your business and successful ads so that doesn't happen to you.
So let's start with just explaining what that funnel actually looks like. Now, this is just like you'll see on the screen here. This is just a basic example of what this might look like. Not every funnel is going to look like this. Not every funnel is going to have as many pieces of this. Some of them might have less, and that's okay. But we just want to show you the basic examples so you get the idea of what that plan looks like. Because remember, a funnel is just a game plan or a path that you want to lead your potential clients down that ends with you getting inquiries, ends with you getting clients, ends with you getting paid. Because if you don't have that plan, people are going to be bouncing all over the place, and that's how you lose leads. That's how leads fall through the cracks. And here's a breakdown, of how this might work. First of all, you have the Instagram and Facebook ad. Your potential clients see that ad, and this is just the tool that you're using to get your brand and get your images, get your business in front of as many potential clients as you want. Now, it's really important here. I put that little picture of potential clients up there because it's so important that we're not just talking about, putting your ads out there to the masses. This is very, very targeted. We are only wanting to get in front of people that you think are going to be your potential ideal clients, very, very specifically. So after they see your ad, you have your offer or your lead magnet. Now, this is what you're going to use to get the attention of your potential clients. Now, this might be an ebook or a really good blog post that you have, or anything that your ideal client would find valuable or entertaining, inspirational, maybe even just plain helpful. And then once they've seen that offer or that lead magnet, that thing that you're using to get their attention, they click on the ad and they hit that page that is all about whatever it is that you're advertising, whatever it is that you're putting out there into the world. Now, this can be a page where they have to put in their email address or phone number to move past this. I'm sure that you guys are really familiar with those kind of pages. Or it can just be a simple blog post or a video. Now, this page is typically called a landing page or a squeeze page in a lot of marketing terms or in marketing circles. So you might have heard those kind of terms before, but it's not really that complicated. It doesn't have to be really that complicated, because once they're on that page, you want to make sure that you get that client's info, so that you can follow up with them and book them as a client or sell them a product. But even if you don't get that info up front, or it's not a quote unquote opt-in page, you still need to think about this page in a similar way, even if you aren't collecting that email address up front, because you still need to ask yourself, how is this page taking people closer to becoming an inquiry or closer to becoming a client? This page still needs to guide your potential clients to the next step of your marketing plan or your funnel, so that they are that much closer to the end of your goal, which is hiring you. And if you don't have that goal in mind here, you're going to waste a lot of time and money using Facebook or Instagram ads, whether that's or really any kind of marketing strategies, any sort of paid marketing strategies. And again, this might look a little different based on what you're offering or what your lead magnet is, but the most important thing, again, is that you have that plan and you make sure that every piece of the plan works together in leading your potential clients to that end goal, which is more inquiries and more clients. That's so important. You have to keep that in mind.
All right, so now that you have an idea of that big picture, let's jump into each of these pieces. First of all, having a good offer or lead magnet is so important. And if you don't have this, you're going to have a really hard time creating successful ads. For example, an ad with nothing of value to offer an ideal client, it might look something like this. Not that you would say this is a little dramatic, but just to show you an extreme here. Hey, I'm a wedding photographer. You should hire me for your wedding. Or here's a link to my latest blog post. It's really pretty. Whereas an ad with a good offering or a good lead magnet might say something like, here are 5 things every couple must know to have an amazing engagement session. Or for a limited time, I'm offering a complimentary 30-minute engagement session. Do you see the difference there? You're offering something your ideal client is going to find valuable. You're grabbing their attention. You're giving them an opportunity to find you, connect with you, and start to trust you and get them into your funnel.
Now, some of you might be thinking, so you want me to offer, complimentary engagement sessions to the whole world? And, I always say when people ask them, when we're talking to our clients, they're like, they ask me that question, I say, chances are you're already offering a free engagement session for your packages anyways. You might as well use that to get yourself more clients to get that there in the first place. Now, you're not just giving those things away for free either. You have a plan in place to follow that up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second here. Because, like I said before, an important thing to point out is that if your lead magnet or your offer doesn't ask for that email address, you have to have some strong calls to action to go along with it. So if you're a wedding photographer and you create an ad for, let's say, to a blog post for your favorite destination wedding, because your photography is great, and because who doesn't like to look at destination weddings, you're probably going to get a lot of people to click from Facebook or Instagram to your blog post. But then what? They look, maybe they leave a comment if they know the couple or if they really like your work, and they leave and they never come back again. I would be very, very curious to look to get your stats and look at, hey, how much of your people come and then never come back again? I'm guessing that's going to be pretty high. And that's just typical across the wedding industry, and that's okay. But what if you added a call to action on your blog post that says something like, want your wedding photos to look like this? Click here to learn more. Or engage in looking for your wedding photographer? I'd love to chat. Click here to set up an appointment. Or hey, click here, I'd love to meet you. It's super simple, super straightforward, but no one has that kind of stuff on their blog. It blows my mind because you're giving people a dead end. You're giving people nowhere to go to get closer to that next step of hiring you, when chances are there are plenty of people that hit your website, hit your blogs, that could be a potential client. And just adding those simple calls to action can make a huge difference. Now, if you aren't sure on where to start with a lead magnet, a great way to put yourself on the right track is by simply asking your past clients or your current clients what they would have wanted or what they're looking for, what would have been helpful to them during their wedding planning process, during their time when they're looking for a photographer, and starting to ask those questions. And that will really, really spark some ideas and put you on the right track.
Yeah, and Jesse and I wanted to give you a real life example of this since we're visual people, and hopefully this helps get your brain going in the right direction. Stacy is one of our coaching clients, and she is a photographer of unconventional weddings in the Vancouver area. And here's her lead magnet. This is one of the inside pages of the Unconventional Bride's Guide to an Engagement Session. And here are a few reasons why Jesse and I love this lead magnet for her audience. First thing is she gives a handful of ways to do something fun, unique, quirky, a little offbeat for her engagement session. And that's great for her audience. Two, she's speaking directly to her ideal client with the title, The Unconventional Bride's Guide to an Engagement Session. She's not just saying, a bride's guide to engagement session. She's calling out specifically her audience, the unconventional bride's guide. So if you're an unconventional bride and you see this, you're going to think, oh my gosh, that's me. This girl gets me. And you're going to want to hear more from Stacy. And the third thing is she's offering something of value at the time that her potential clients need what she's offering. So this, I just wanted to give you this real life example of this. But once you have that lead magnet, it's time to start working on that landing page.
Yeah, and not having a landing page that's specific to your lead magnet, or not having a page that's specific to your offer, whatever it is that you're putting out there using Instagram and Facebook ads, is a huge mistake. Put yourself in your ideal client's shoes. When you click on something, whether it's an ad from Facebook or Instagram, whether it's a link on Instagram, whether it's something random on Facebook, you want it to go to a page that's unmistakably related to what you clicked on. People are skeptical enough as it is. They don't trust things that happen online. So if you click on something, it looks like you took a little bit of a wrong turn, you're out of there so fast. So you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there on Facebook or Instagram, that when they click on that, it's going to a page that's unmistakably related to what they clicked on. You don't want it to be the home page or any other random page on your website. Remember, this is the first thing that your potential clients see when they click on that ad from Instagram or Facebook. So you want your landing page to give them every reason to stay. You don't want to give them any excuses to peace out. And here are a few tips to make that happen. First of all, you want to make sure that it's specific to your offer or your lead magnet. I cannot stress that enough. You also want to make sure that the page is, pretty easy to read, even at a quick glance. Less is definitely more here. This is why bullet points work great on pages like this. If you're explaining something, or you're explaining, hey, I want your email address for this guide, or for you're going to get this if you give me your email address and phone number. Give them those bullet points, and in those bullet points, focus on how this is going to make their lives, their engagement sessions, their wedding, whatever it is. Tell them how this is going to make that all better, how it's going to make it easier for them. Tell them why now is the right time for whatever it is that you're offering them. Focus on that outcome, or the feeling that they're going to get after they're done working with you or using your lead magnet or your offer. So if your lead magnet is all about getting pictures that don't feel stiff or extremely posed, or it's a lead magnet about how to get super relaxed pictures and how to not look stiff in your images, you want to talk about how this is going to get them the perfect, candid, fun, and easygoing pictures that they've been dreaming of.
And really quickly, I wanted to jump in if I could for
a
split second. I've heard you guys say this several times already, and I almost wanted to just underscore it for everybody who's out there and watching and listening. Something that they've both Becky and Jesse have said, and I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but to maybe overemphasize it if we have to, this is so important, because all this is based on you knowing who your ideal client is. Because if you are broadcasting all of this and spending money, on traffic, on advertisements, and it's to let's call it a really broad group of people, a group of people that might or might not be your ideal client, then a lot of this is going to get lost on them. They're going to come and they're going to see, as you say here, specific to whatever advertising, benefits, clear call to action. These are things that work really well for people who are really tightly knit with what you are offering. But the broader you are about who your ideal client is, the harder it is for this to take hold of people who are clicking and then experiencing. Is that, I didn't want to overemphasize it, but I thought I'd really clarify that so that people understand how to kind of gauge this as they're thinking about it and processing whether or not they want to move forward with this.
Yeah, no, you're so right, Jared. That's exactly right. Like with that example with Stacy, for example, like the unconventional brides guide, like I don't know how much more specific. If you go to her Instagram, it's all like that's her clientele. If you go to her website, that's her clientele. So she did that so strategically because she wants to speak to that group of people. And I know that sometimes it feels a little scary or makes people a little nervous, like, but what if I get so narrow in this advertising or, with, the language I'm using, speaking to my ideal client, that like, I don't get anybody, but the exact opposite actually happens. Again, with Stacy, like if there's an unconventional bride out there that sees that, she's going to feel so connected to her so quickly because she's speaking directly to her.
Right. Yeah. We've talked about this on our blog and some of our guides before, but let's just say, you guys are from San Diego as am I, and let's just say we just published something that just, was just San Diego wedding photographer. These kind of pages, these landing pages and some of these other things like your ads, they might not take as hold as much as, for example, Stacy, who has a much more specific message. And I know I've heard you guys talk about that ideal client. I just wanted to underscore it to make sure everybody kind of heard that and took hold of that. If you do know who your ideal client is, you're going to be definitely a step ahead as it relates to what they're talking about. And if you don't, no problem, but definitely keep that in mind. You're going to want to figure that out along with taking advantage of the steps they're talking about.
Yeah,
totally.
100%.
Yeah, if you don't have an idea of who your ideal client is,
do that first.
Do that before you do anything else, especially with paid advertising, because when you start putting your money behind that, it can get a lot more risky because it's, you have the potential to waste a lot of that money. A lot of that traffic you're spending money on can fall on deaf ears if you're not using your language, using your messaging to connect with that ideal client. So Jared, yeah, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, anyways, carry on. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up really quickly.
Yeah, no worries. That's super important. On that landing page, another big thing that you want to keep in mind is it needs to be mobile friendly. Now, it doesn't need to be fancy, but a good chunk, if not most of your traffic, obviously, especially from Instagram, is going to come from a mobile device. So it doesn't need to look like amazing and have all these like fancy features. It just needs to be legible and like be able to
functional.
Yeah, functional. People need to be able to navigate it. And most importantly, again, this is going to keep coming back to this. You need to make sure that you have a clear call to action. This could be an inquiry form or another way to kind of get their info, whether it's an email address, phone number, that helps you move them to the next step of your funnel. But you have to be sure that you are guiding them. Again, even if the only thing you're promoting is a single blog post, you have to have a call to action there. You can't expect people to say, oh man, these pictures are so pretty. I'm going to do some more digging around. I'm going to click a few times. Oh, here's their inquiry page. Oh, what the heck? I'm like, no, people are busy. You have to tell them what to do and what you want them to do. And you're going to see so much better results doing that. All right, so let's give you an example of what a landing page might look like.
All right, here is one of our clients, Laura. This is one of her landing pages. She is a wedding photographer, but she's also a brand photographer. And this is more geared toward her brand photography. But her page is simple. It's clean. It's easy to scan. You know exactly what this page is all about. And her lead magnet that she's using that is hooked up with this landing page is the 10 secrets every creative business owner needs to know to build a profitable and intentional brand, with that big old green button at the top to tell you how you can download her free ebook right now. This page is cohesive with our ad, which just means it has similar colors or images so people know they're in the right place. Like Jesse was saying before, we don't want to give them any reason to leave once they get to this landing page. This page is all about her lead magnet. There's nothing about her wedding photography services. There's no social media buttons. It's all about getting them to take action and download the ebook. That's it. Again, if you aren't collecting an email address up front, like in this example, you still need to have some cleared call to action. You could give them something else to do instead of just leading them to a dead end where they look through your blog post or website, like Jesse was saying, and then you never see them again.
All right, so even though your potential clients are nearing the end of your funnel and close to becoming clients at this point, or at least close to inquiring with you, they aren't quite there yet. So even if your lead magnet and your landing pages are amazing and they offer a ton of value, you could be missing out a ton of revenue and a ton of clients if you don't have a good follow-up plan in place. Now, this is where you need as a business owner to take responsibility for your business. If people are reaching out to you or they are filling out forms on your website, whether it's just for a PDF or they're inquiring with you, you need to be willing to email them, jump on the phone with them, send them a custom video message, offer to take them out to coffee, and show them how amazing it would be to work with you. Because when you do those things, just like that, you've guided a potential funnel or a potential client from being out there in the world down your marketing funnel and book them via Instagram or Facebook ads. How awesome is that? That is something that we see over and over again with our clients as they implement these things when they have that plan in place.
Yeah, and this is really exciting stuff, as Jesse's saying. This is like getting you in front of all these new people. So now we want to show you how to create a successful ad so that you can convert them well.
All right, so now that you have that marketing funnel in place, you have your game plan in place, we want to drive people to it. And the amazing thing is that never before have you been able to specifically target ideal clients like you can using Instagram and Facebook. Now, this isn't like your traditional banner ads where you have, no control, or, those magazine ads like Jared was talking about earlier, where you have zero control over who sees your ads. And when you're marketing and using those traditional marketing avenues, you pay the same monthly fee no matter what, no matter how many people see it, no matter how many clicks you get, no matter how many inquiries you get. If you get zero, you still pay that same fee. With Instagram and Facebook ads, you get to be in complete control. And we're going to show you the best way to be able to take that control and create profitable ads. And since Facebook owns Instagram, both Instagram and Facebook ads work pretty much identically as far as the setup goes. And this makes it so much easier to manage and allows you to get in front of a lot of different people, a lot of different kinds of people without a ton of extra work. And we're going to give you some specific examples of, how to use one or the other, but for the most part, they are pretty much identical.
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons Instagram and Facebook ads can be so successful is because they use what's called native advertising. And that just means it has the ability to look just like the non-paid or non-ad content. So you want to use that to your advantage by playing to each platform's strengths. An Instagram ad should not exactly always look like a Facebook ad. Look through the posts that your ideal clients might like, are commenting on, sharing, or even posting themselves, and use that as inspiration to create ads that look like they belong on that platform, but still stand out. You still want to be noticed. The key is finding that balance of capturing attention without being intrusive or salesy. Sometimes you might lean a little bit more toward one side of those things, but the overall rule, you don't want to be too passive or too aggressive either in your ads. And taking that native advertising concept one step further, the magic really happens when you can create content that is relevant and produces engagement. And this isn't just for ads, it's for all of your social media content. And if you can get engagement, especially comments or shares on your ads, Facebook and Instagram will actually make it, listen to this, less expensive for you to get in front of more people because they want to promote content that their users actually want to see. Also, it creates social proof, and the more engagement your ads have, the more people will respond. So that's just awesome, and it's a win for everybody.
It's so true. It's, you guys are, I mean, it took me a little while to realize that. What you guys are talking about, I've had other people tell me that, hey, the better your ad does, the cheaper it will be. But it's true when you think about how the ads work. When you scroll through your very own Facebook feed, it's, Facebook doesn't want you to get tired of the ads. And so they want to put the ads that people enjoy the most in front of you. It's a really great point to point out. I love that.
Totally. And what's cool about that too is that Facebook's super smart. They're way smarter than I'll ever be as a marketer. And what they actually do is they'll start looking at the kind of people that are engaging with your ad. And we'll talk about this a little later. But as your ad spends more time out there getting in front of more people, your ad actually gets smarter. It starts looking for those people that are most likely to comment or like it or click on it, which is even better, which blows my mind that Facebook can do that because they know so much about us. It's kind of scary.
They do know a lot about us.
But another thing to keep in mind is that as you're creating your ads, you want to be personable. In your photos and in your copy, don't be scared to show off your pretty smiling face and your personality, because this is a great opportunity and a great way to connect with your audience. And when you do that, your click-through rates are going to go through the roof, your engagement's going to go through the roof, and it's going to help your ads get in front of more people. It's going to help it be cheaper, and it's going to make everything that much more effective. And since everyone's always posting pictures of people in their own feeds anyways, it's an easy way to make your ad looks like it belongs there. It's not going to stick out like a sore thumb as an ad, because every ad, and every ad you make doesn't need to have your face on it, but at the very least, your profile picture on your business page or account should be of you, if at all possible. If you have a logo there, it can be an instant giveaway that you're just trying to promote something, especially for service-based industries like us. So just by switching your profile picture from a logo to a picture of you, you could see a huge difference. We've seen massive results, differences in results at least, just by switching that one thing. In your copy, it's also really helpful to speak in first person and ask questions. It helps you immediately connect and engage in a dialogue with your audience that way.
All right, let's move on to targeting here. And this is where it gets really cool. Facebook and Instagram allow you to do things that you've never been able to do before when it comes to choosing who is going to see your ads or how you target your ads. And we're going to start with how to target your warm markets, or people that might know who you are already. So you can target Instagram or Facebook ads to people who like your Facebook page, friends of people who like your page, or you can even upload, listen to this is crazy when I learned this, you can even upload a list of your current clients' emails and create an audience that way. You can also target people who have recently viewed any page on your website. And you may have seen this before, where you're shopping online for something on Amazon, you didn't buy it, and then you see that product pop up for you in an ad. You can do the same thing. You just have to copy and paste the tracking pixel code that Facebook gives you on your website, and you can start targeting that audience.
Yeah, and it looks very, very similar to, if you have Google Analytics code on your website already, it's just that simple. It can literally take you 5 minutes. Even if you aren't planning on doing this right away, that's something that I totally suggest you go in and you add that code to your website as soon as possible, because again, Facebook's going to start to learn the kind of people that are coming to your website, the kind of people that, and they start profiling those people so that your ads are going to be that much more effective when you do start using them.
Okay, so that's warm markets, but you don't want to just stop there. You also want to get in front of people who haven't heard of you yet. That's the whole point here. So Facebook and Instagram give you plenty of cool options to do that. First off, you can target by demographics, which offers you one of the most amazing features for wedding industry people. If you are a wedding photographer, you can only target people who are engaged. And like, that's another one that blew my mind. Basically, my mind gets blown with all of these things. So not just engage, but engage for 0 to 3 months, 0 to 6 months, or up to 1 year. Like, that's so amazing for you, because that means that you only have to pay to get in front of people who are actually your ideal client, back to what Jared was saying. And on top of that, you can target by age, gender, location, and other things too. You can also create an audience based on what they like or what they're interested in. So you can target people who are interested in yoga, or maybe the store anthropology, or maybe even wedding vlogs. And then you can take any combination of those things to create the perfect audience, so you can be sure you are targeting the right people and you're not wasting your money. And you can literally target anyone you want on Instagram or Facebook. And now we're going to show you just how easy it is. We're going to walk you through how to create an Instagram or Facebook ad.
Yeah, so since you can get to do pretty much everything that you need for actually creating and managing your ads with Instagram and Facebook, you can do all of that through what's called the Ads Manager. I mean, I really want to make sure you know where that is, because that was one of the biggest questions that we get all the time is, okay, like, how do I get started with all this? So if you're on your newsfeed here, you can see here my newsfeed here. I guess I don't have very many friends, so there's my feed is gone. But to get to mine, like, I have mine in my favorites already. Some of you might have that already if you have a business page. So that's where that big red arrow there is on the left. You click on that, that'll take you to your Ads Manager. If it's not there, up at the top right-hand corner of your newsfeed, and when you're logged into Facebook, there'll be a little like arrow pointing down, a little triangle. If you click that there, you'll see where on the right, that little circle, you want to click on that Manage Ads, and that'll take you to your Ads Manager. Then you're going to use your Ads Manager to look at your stats, do a very basic thing with your ads, like turning them on, turning them off again, looking at how your ads are doing and stuff like that. But for anything else, like actually creating your ads and setting things up to begin with, we recommend that you use Facebook's Power Editor for literally everything else besides just those basic things that you do in Ads Manager. And you can get to that by, once you're in your Ads Manager, you click on that little hamburger icon, the menu icon at the top left corner of your screen, and then that'll bring up that menu, and then you can just click on Power Editor there. Just a heads up though, you do have to use Google Chrome to use Power Editor. Google Chrome is totally free. It's totally awesome. I think you probably should be using it anyways because it's the best.
Jesse loves Chrome.
I do love my Chrome, but just a heads up, you have to be using that. If you try to use it in another browser, it'll say, oh, you can't use this. So just a heads up there. All right, so before we walk you through this, you're going to notice on the left-hand side of a screenshot, after you click on that Create Ad button within your Power Editor, you're going to get to a screen like this. And on the left side of that screen there, you see there's Campaign, there's Ad Set, and there's Ads. And you're going to notice those like subcategories and those things too. That's what each of those things control. Now, you just want to think of like the campaign and the ad set as folders. That's pretty much all they are. A campaign holds the ad sets, and the ad sets hold the ads. It's really as simple as that. You don't need to think about it and let yourself be overwhelmed, because I know it feels like a lot of options, but they all break down, and Facebook makes it pretty easy to walks you through a lot of this setup too. But the first step to actually creating the ad is you have to have a campaign. And to use a campaign, and you want to use that campaign to keep you as organized as possible. And also it's going to let you choose the objective of your ads. Now, the objective of your ad is, at least Facebook's definition of that, is very important, because Facebook and Instagram will use their algorithm to optimize your ads and find the people who are most likely to respond to your ad based on the objective that you choose here. Now, you're going to see here there are a bunch of options. All right, don't want that to overwhelm you, because you're going to only use pretty much 2 of them, especially at the beginning as you're just getting started. We suggest you start with either the traffic objective or the conversions objective. You can see the conversions one is highlighted there in blue. Now, the traffic objective is very, very simple. All you're doing is telling Facebook that you want as many people as possible to click on your ad and go to the link that you're promoting. You want to use the traffic objective when you're promoting a blog post, or anything else that doesn't require an immediate action, like a email address or a phone number or anything like that, to actually get what you're advertising. On the other hand, if you choose conversions, you're telling, as the objective at least, you are telling Facebook that you want people to convert to a sale or generate a lead or get an email address or a phone number after clicking on your ad. And what's really cool about that is Facebook will actually use their fancy, super sophisticated and secret algorithm to go and find people within your targeting that are most likely to give you an email address or inquire with you after clicking on your ad. They'll start to build a profile of the people that are converting, and they're going to go out and look for people that are very similar to that. It's really, really cool. And you want to use that conversion objective for your campaign whenever you're using a lead magnet campaign, or you're asking for an email address up front before you deliver whatever it is that you're offering them.
And after you create your campaign, you get to start creating an ad set, which, remember, is basically a folder that Facebook uses to hold different ads. Ad sets let you select the audiences that you want to use to get your ads in front of your ideal clients. This is where wedding photographers can target engaged people only. On top of that, you can target by location. Let's say you don't want to pay to be a vendor at a wedding show or event, but you'd still love the chance to get in front of the people that might attend that show or event. Using these targeting features, you can target anyone who's been near a specific address recently. So you could just target the address that the show is going to be at and introduce yourself to all of those people, all of those potential clients that way instead. There's literally no limit to how specific or how general you can be here with this. Another amazing thing about using Facebook and Instagram ads is you can get like Jesse was saying before, you are in complete control of everything, especially your budget. This one rings home with a lot of us. There's no contract, no maximum amount. And the minimum is like only $1, between $1 and $5 a day. And it also gives you the option to stop ads that aren't working and put more money into the ones that are working so that you get the most bang for your buck. And then at this point, you also get to decide where you want your ad to be shown. You can pick Instagram, that's our favorite, or pick whether you want your ads to be shown on Facebook's mobile newsfeed, desktop newsfeed, or the desktop right column, or all 3. And Jesse and I don't recommend advertising on the Audience Network or Instant Articles. We haven't seen great results with those.
Yeah, and once you set your campaign objective, you set your budget, you put your audience in place, you can start actually creating your ad. And when you're designing your ads, we want to make sure that you're making them very eye-catching, especially that image. Now, since we're all photographers, like this is going to be a little bit of a touchy subject, I think, because we're all very particular of the images that we want to put out there in the world. But the image is the #1 way that you can draw your ideal clients in and get their attention. You don't just want to be picking like, oh, this is your favorite images. You want to be thinking, hey, which image is going to grab the attention of someone just scrolling through their newsfeed? And I know that can be really hard to do, but I really, really encourage you guys to take a step back and kind of like take off the ego and the little bit of that goes along with like wanting to show like what you think is your best work, and really think about what's going to capture attention. Connect with your ideal clients. You know, you can use text with calls to action on your images, but just make sure that it all looks clean and aesthetically pleasing. You don't want it to become overcrowded or a little bit overwhelming for people, especially on Instagram. Now, just as a heads up, there is a loose rule for both Facebook and Instagram ads when you're actually advertising something, that the more text you have on an image, the more money, the more expensive your ads are going to be, and the less people that are going to see it for how much money you're spending. So keep that in mind if you decide to put text on your image. As long as you stay under right around 20% of your image, so as long as text is not covering more than 20% of the total image, you should be totally fine. You don't have anything to worry about there. You also want to add, headlines and copy that's engaging and grabbing people's attention, for the captions on Instagram and things like that too. You want to make sure that all of that copy is super engaging, and it's a great way, a great way to be able to do that is by telling a story of a past client's experience, or, by simply calling out your ideal clients. For example, you could say like, hey, quirky brides, are you having a hard time making your wedding unique while sticking to a budget? Click here to get our free guide for creating an alternative wedding while sticking to your budget. Like if that's the way someone's feeling, they're going to be immediately drawn and connect to that because you're being specific and you're calling them out. You also want to make sure that you're being creative, and you want to make sure that, again, you're getting your ideal client's attention by using language that's going to relate to them and engage with them. But you can't do that unless you know who your ideal client is.
Right. And I know it can seem overwhelming to try to get started with creating your first ad, but don't let that hold you back. There are so many people out there looking for what you have to offer. And Jesse and I just gave you the basics and walked you through how you can get in front of these people. And because we're all visual here, we just want to run through some quick examples of ads that have worked really well for people that we have coached through this process. So this is Robin, Robin X Photography. Her lead magnet was 5 mistakes brides make when hiring wedding photographers.
And how to avoid them.
And this was her Instagram ad. She invested $97 and she booked a $1,500 client from this. And this is Gabby. She's a quinceañera photographer, and her lead magnet, and this was on Facebook, 5 secrets for finding the right photographer. And that was specific to quinceañera. And she invested $30 and she booked a $1,000 client from this.
Here's Angela Divine Photography. She was giving away a free hour of photography for all of her winter weddings. This is for one of her Facebook ads. She invested $300 and she booked a wedding that's going to be worth between $2,000 and $3,000 when it's all said and done, which is so awesome.
Yeah, and the last one here is Carrie Johnson. She's a senior portrait photographer, and this is her Facebook ad. She invested, you see there, $76.42, and she booked more than $1,000 with in-person sales, and the money was still coming in. She still had shoots left from this ad. That was just after the first 2 shoots.
Totally, and these things totally work. But once the ad is done, there's one more thing that you need to do, and Jared mentioned this at the beginning of this class here, was you need to be able to track your stats so that you can scale responsibly and scale safely. So now that you have this amazing funnel, you have an ad that gets people to there, an ad that's engaging and people are clicking on it. You need to make sure that you're getting the maximum return on the money that you're spending on that traffic. So you have to start testing, try different types of lead magnets or different types of ads, make a few different audiences to target. Then Instagram and Facebook make it really easy to track your stats and see generally and give you a pretty good idea of how well your ads are actually doing. It's really important for you guys to look at those stats and see how much it costs for you to get an inquiry, how much it costs for you to book a client. And they do all of this through the Facebook pixel. So you need to make sure that you have that installed in your website, just like you have that Google Analytics code installed. And again, all of this is so awesome, and it can literally transform your business. But the crazy thing is that these aren't even my favorite things. All the things that we talked about, those are all great, but this right here is my favorite. The best thing about Instagram and Facebook ads is that you do not have to get locked into a contract or spend thousands of dollars up front like so many other advertising and marketing avenues out there. You get to be in complete control. You can start and stop whenever you want. You can start with virtually any amount of money, test a few ads, and scale up from there. You don't have to start by spending hundreds of dollars. You can start by literally spending $1 a day, $2 a day, $5 a day, seeing what works, and then, you know, getting better, making sure that you're seeing a return on that investment. But I can't stress this enough. As you get going with this, the most important thing that you can do is know your math. Know how much it costs for you to get an inquiry, and know how much it costs for you to get a client. And just like we saw from, you know, some of those examples earlier, like Robin, she invested $97 to book a $1,500 client. Now she can reinvest that money to book another client, and the possibilities can be endless from there.
Yeah, and I just want to, Jesse and I just want to mention this one thing, because this is a question we get a lot about boosting posts versus ads themselves. And this is a mistake that we see, is people just boosting posts. And the problem with that is there's no strategy or targeting behind that. And all boosting a Facebook post is doing is taking an organic post you've made to your personal or business page and turning it into an ad. So we want you to be much more strategic than that, especially after everything you've learned today. So instead of doing that, if you have a post that's already on your business page that you want more people to see, go into your Power Editor, and when you go to create an ad, just click the Use Existing Post button so you can boost your post with all the strategy of a normal ad. And now that you have gone through all of this as well, you might be thinking, guys, this is great, but how do I make these things happen? So Jesse and I just wanted to quickly run through a few tools that we've used or have suggested other people use and have gone really well for them.
Totally. So if you're thinking about, okay, how do I create this landing page? Man, I'm like not techie. I don't know how to do this. You know, for your landing page, we suggest you try to use your own website and create those landing pages if possible. You know, if you can create a form on your site, you can probably make that work. But if you want something that's a little bit more done for you, where you're okay spending a little bit of money, you can use, there's plenty of plugins out there. If you're on WordPress, or, you know, a lot of like Squarespace sites actually have landing pages built into them already, templates for that you can use. But if you're on WordPress, you can use what's called Thrive landing pages or Optimize Press. Those are both WordPress plugins that are like very, very reasonably priced. Especially for your wedding photographers, that if you book one wedding with any of these strategies, like it makes it so worth it for you to invest in some of these tools. If you're anything like Becky and myself, like Becky mentioned, our design skills are somewhat lacking a lot of the time. You know, Canva.com can help like crazy. They have tons of templates for Facebook and Instagram ads ready for you to use. Most of them are free. They have like $1 stock photography if you need some of that to kind of get started too. Some of this stuff, like these tools are so amazing to use. They can get you started really, really quickly.
And our goal for you, when you do these things, when you put all this stuff together that we've taught you today, like you are going to come up with a valuable lead magnet. We know you are. You're creative, you're talented, you're smart. You're going to come up with some relevant and engaging ads, and you are going to start guiding potential clients all the way down the funnel so that you can create an endless supply of inquiries and clients. And that just makes us so happy. That makes us smile. And when you do that, you're going to gain more revenue. And with that revenue, you're going to end up with that freedom of the reason you started your photography business in the first place, I'm guessing. So we want you really to use this information. And if it's new to you, Jesse and I have a way to help you out, and we'll share that in a minute.
Yeah, and we know that all of these things are true, and this can be possible for you, just like, you know, Gabby, Angela, Carrie, and so many other photographers that we know and coach are using Instagram and Facebook ads to grow their businesses and book more of those ideal clients that helps them, you know, grow their revenue and make more money in their business. And we want to help you get started doing the same thing. So take everything that we've taught you today and put it to work. And we know that this can be a lot, and a lot of this might be new to you. So we wanted to give you a little something extra that'll help, you know, you just get started and make it as easy as possible when you're actually creating your ads. So Jared, I think, is going to put a link in the chat box for you right now, where you can get our free Instagram and Facebook ads quick start guide, where you can get even more of our best tips for creating profitable ads that you can use to grow your business. It's a simple, like 2 or 3 page guide where it's just going to give you the down and dirty how you can get started right away. And it's been super great hanging out with you guys. Jared, I think we have some time for some questions now.
Oh, yeah, good, good, good. I've got several here. First off, guys, thank you so much. That was comprehensive to say the least. So that's great, and I think for everybody who's watching, that's kind of that's a good comprehensive take on exactly how to go from concept to application in terms of how you build that advertisement, how you build out the process and think it through. I have some questions that have kind of floated to the top as you guys were talking here, and I thought I'd go through them. Some of them are about giving people a little bit of a gauge or maybe a perspective. What do you guys recommend if you're a photographer that's watching right now and you're saying, okay, yes, looks like a good thing for me to try. This looks like something that I should give an effort to. What would you recommend? How much money do they need to probably start to be able to give it a fair go? Like, how much money would you guys recommend somebody allocates for an ad, and how long would you recommend they advertise with a specific ad for? How long should they go until they determine if it's working well? What's a good gauge for people to know what they need to do to get started in terms of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, generally speaking, for you to get in front of about 1,000 people, and depending on your market, like for example, in San Diego right now, I think I checked just before we hopped on. In San Diego right now, there are between like 17 and 25,000 engaged women in San Diego.
Wow.
Now that could be between 1 year people that are like eternally engaged.
Right.
So like some of that data is going to be a little bit skewed. But for me, it's going to be a little bit different if you're in a little bit of a smaller town or a little area that's not quite as big as San Diego or not quite as metropolitan. But to kind of answer your question, it's going to be, it depends. The gauge that I like to use though is not necessarily how much money I spend, but more how many people I've gotten in front of to see if my ad is working. And there are kind of a few different stages I like to think about. I want to see once I get in front of 1,000 people, I'll have a good idea if my ad, if people are clicking on it. If I get in front of 1,000 people and my click-through rate, is only 0.5%, I might want to think about changing up my ad.
Right.
So to get in front of 1,000 people, depending on the targeting that you're using, it's going to cost you usually between $12 and $20. That's typically what we see in the wedding industry. I know that's a big range, but again, it just depends on how competitive it is. There's a lot of things that go into that. Some of it we just don't know because Facebook is super secretive. With that said, I would say like you want to allocate for a good try anywhere between like $20 and $40. That could be, testing one ad, testing another ad, testing, maybe 2 different audiences. But between $20 and $40 is what I would recommend, bare minimum, to get started with this. Now that could be over the course of a week. That could be over the course of a month. It depends, and it's up to you. If you want to put your budget at $5 a day, it's going to take you right around 4 or 5 days. At $5 a day, 4 or 5 days to get in front of about 1,000 people. Maybe a little bit less than that. So, you want to just make sure that you're not making a decision after spending $1. Man, I got in front of 100 people, but no one inquired with me yet. You have to let it go. You have to let Facebook do its thing. The people that run Facebook are super smart. And as frustrating as it can be to be like, man, I spent $5 today and I didn't get anything. I've totally been there. You got to let Facebook do their thing. So whatever you decide, whether that's $10, whether that's $100, make that decision and just let Facebook do its thing. Watch it, see if people are clicking on it. If people aren't, maybe you change out your ad after it's been in front of 1,000 people. Try something a little bit different. But doesn't mean you have to necessarily give up completely, because the thing that I love about this is you are in control. And so if it's not working, it's not necessarily Facebook's fault. It's because, maybe the offer just isn't as, or the lead magnet isn't as relevant to our ideal clients as we thought they were. So let's try something different.
Jared, I'm going to add something to that. This is probably a super long answer to that simple question.
No, I love
Jesse
it.
and I get a little long-winded sometimes.
This is perfect.
But just to add on to that, like a lot of people, and we've heard this and we've been there ourselves, like we'll run an ad or a client will, and they'll be so frustrated, like, oh, it's not working. Facebook ads isn't working.
Right.
That's why we had to go through that whole funnel and give you that first part, that marketing plan, that funnel, because there's so many different pieces here. Your landing page might not be working. Your lead magnet might not be working. Facebook ad might be doing its this work and might be doing it well, but that's where we have to go back and look at that big picture, take a step back and say, okay, are all of these pieces connecting? Is it cohesive? You know, go through all of those questions that we ran through, because it might just be one little kink in the chain that might not be the ad itself.
Well, and it's a really good point you guys bring up. I think that probably is partly why it can be so frustrating for photographers, is because it's not so much that maybe they've tried it. Maybe your photographer has tried it and it's failed. It's, I don't know why it failed. You know, is it Facebook? Is it my landing page? Is it my, you know, my writing, my copy? Is it my image? Is it the offer? Is it, I mean, there's so many things that it could be. And it can be frustrating to, I've heard so many photographers talk about how I just threw that money away, you know, or I you know, it's just too much work to bother with.
Yeah, and that's why we love this approach so much, is because the sooner that you can get some info from them, like with a lead magnet where you're giving them something, whether that's a PDF, whether it's an ebook, whether it's a wedding checklist, you know, whatever it is, if you can get that lead as soon as possible, it takes the guesswork out of things, because like photographers are passionate people. They care about their clients. I know that like all of you guys that are listening right now, like you guys care about your clients. You care about giving them a great experience. So once you start talking to them, once you can connect with them on that level, like I guarantee you're going to see success with that. So that's why we love that so much, is because not only can you get more of those clients, but you're going to be able to convert them at a higher price point when you start to make it a lot more personal. So that's why we love that so much, is because, you know, it injects yourself into that conversation so much sooner than just letting your website and letting everything else do the work for you.
Well, and clearly, if you're listening, you guys can probably tell that Jesse and Becky really know their stuff here. So I want to make sure you guys are, if you're not able to see for whatever reason, if you're just listening audibly, but definitely go download their free ads quick start guide. They've got it. It's a free offer for you guys. They put it together. Goes into some of the details that we couldn't go into today. We got a link in the chats, but if you can't get to the chats, it's bit.ly/IDEALUST ads guide. We'll also make sure we get that in the follow-up email that everybody gets. And just as a reminder, you guys, we will have a replay going. If you're listening to this live, you'll get that replay. It's usually about 48 hours long that's available. So they went through a lot of great information today. If you want to go back and listen to that again, we're going to get you an email for that replay coming up really soon. And if you are watching the replay, just know that it does expire after 48 hours. And so you definitely want to go grab this free ads quick start guide while you guys can, and take advantage of some of the additional things that we just weren't able to get to today. In the same vein, so we talked about, you know, hey, how much do I need to start up? What should I kind of expect? Thank you. I mean, that's just a good metric. And for people to think about, I mean, you know, it's valuable to get in front of 1,000 people that are ideally in your target market at that point. I mean, that's valuable alone, just to get people seeing your brand, because they're going to be making a decision about a wedding photographer pretty soon in this example, and then to be able to tie that to success like they're talking about. Now let's talk really quickly, if you guys can. I know it's really open-ended and really wide-ranging, but like, what kind of results? I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, if I'm a photographer and I'm wanting to dive into this, and it sounds really great, but am I going to have to spend, like, you know, a lot of money to get this going consistently? Or is some of the results you guys shared, like somebody spent less than $100 and they got a booking, is that something that people should expect?
You know, again, it totally comes back to like how well you know your ideal client. It comes back to like how convincing you can be in your ad and in your landing pages. If you're going to do something that's a little bit more passive, you're going to be able to get in front of more people and maybe kind of connect with a lot of people. And it's going to take you more people to actually get them to take action, though. But if you can get something in front of them and really speak their language, the more you can do that, the better you're going to connect. The deeper that connection is going to be, the more you're going to be able to get them to take action. So it kind of goes a little bit on both ways here. I'm going to actually scroll back here through some of these examples, because I think that like, for example, here, this ad right here, I'm giving away a free hour of photography for winter weddings. This worked, and it worked really well. She's still, like, you know, 10 times her investment with Facebook ads.
And she emailed us actually recently saying how she booked even more weddings from this. So
totally,
just to add on to that,
which is super awesome. But you can see here, she had to spend $300 to get that booking, and I know exactly why. Is because, you know, she's giving away something that you have to buy from her to get.
Right, right.
So it wasn't necessarily something that is like super like, hey, like anybody can use this. No, this is only something that someone's going to buy. Whereas, this one right here, like she spent $30 and she got a bunch of people to download this thing because it's free. It's something that she's just getting in front of people. Like the image is stunning. It's eye-catching. It looks good. There are so many great things about this. She threw that word secret in there, which is like a stopper. Like when you're scrolling, you see a secret, you're like, oh, I want to know what the secret is. There's a ton of really great things about this ad. So she only had spent $30 and she booked $1,000 job from that. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. But the more that you can make it a no-brainer, like Carrie here, free. So you get your senior portraits done for free. Like, and there's no catch here. Like, she was waiving her sitting fee completely. You show up, you get your pictures, and I think that she was giving like 1 or 2 images, digital images, for this as well. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what she's doing. And she knew that if once that happens, her photography was so good and she was so confident at that.
And the experience that she was going to give them.
Yeah, she was going to sit them down. She was going to have an in-person sales session with them. And she knew that, for each session that she's going to book between like $500 and $600, per session that she had. And so, that was a strategy that she knew. She had that funnel in place. She knew, okay, I'm going to have this session, and then I'm going to have this in-person sales. I'm going to follow up with them, and then I'm going to sell them after the fact. I'm going to make my money after because I know that I can do that. She had, obviously way more interest in this than she could possibly do because, she's starting to build her brand and she's starting to, build her business, and people are all about it when you can get something for free and then over deliver for them in the future, like she did there. So to answer your question, I would say it depends on your price point too. If you are, a $4,000 or $5,000 wedding photographer, you're gonna have to spend a little bit more because you got to get in front of those right people that are willing to spend that money. If you're in a little bit of a mid-range between like 2 and 4, you can spend a little bit less. So some of that comes into play too. But I could say that 100% yes. If you do this the right way, you put an offer out there that is going to be so engaging with, and you're willing to like really put yourself out there, you can 100% see results in spending between, 20, 40, and less than $100 to get a booking from that. No, I have no question about that.
So you guys actually segued perfectly because that was going to be my next question, and we're coming up on the end of time here. So I'll kind of end with this question as we talked about it. You guys talked a lot about how it's really a lot to do with your offer, and your offer is a lot to do with who you're targeting, and obviously very different for a wedding photographer versus a portrait photographer. Sometimes offers are tough too because you're so far in your head, right? You're a photographer thinking like a photographer, and sometimes it's hard to think like a bride, or it's hard to think like a senior who's looking to have their portrait done. In that case, that example, do you guys have any advice for maybe? And I know that your guide here would be a great place. If you haven't downloaded that, that's probably got some stuff there too. But advice for how to think about coming up with some of these offers. What kind of offers should wedding photographers be? Maybe some quick passes on a few of them.
Yeah, I think the easiest place to start without really having to think too much at all is just with frequently asked questions. Like, what are your clients already asking you? What resources are you already providing them with? Whether that's just in client communication, what things are you educating them on? I mean, we have a lot of clients who use a different take on like the engagement session guide. I think in the funnel, there was an example of one of our former clients, Tiffany. It was like something about an engagement session guide, but having to do with whimsical, romantic engagement sessions because that was her ideal clientele. And then you had Stacy who had a take on it that was unconventional. So it's a hot topic because we know that a lot of wedding photographers want that engagement session, and it helps make the experience better. So that's just one topic, but starting with frequently asked questions is just a really easy place to start.
Yeah, and if you like to kind of tie it into that example we gave with the senior portrait photographer who was waiving her fee there for her sitting fee, wedding photographers have that engagement session in their back pocket. I know that can be a great way where if you're offering free engagement sessions, where you can kind of, say, hey, I'm giving 5 complimentary engagement sessions, over the next month. And you say, hey, this is what you get. You get 5 images from this session. And then after the fact, you can say, hey, you can either have all of them for an extra $300 or $400. So you can at least make it worth your while if they don't end up booking you for a wedding. Or you can say, hey, I'll give them to you all for free if you book me for your wedding. So there are plenty of ways for you to be able to use what you already have without having to like put in a ton of work to like build a huge, you know, automated marketing funnel. Like you don't have to do that. You can use what you already have with your frequently asked questions, with things that you're already giving clients, and just start giving that to people a little bit earlier in the process, from like when they first come in contact with you. They're going to be that much more likely, because if you're to book with you, or at least take that next step to inquiring with you, if you're willing to show them how awesome it is to work with you, how much you care, that you're willing to give them all this stuff for free up ahead of time, you're just using that to build a relationship, to build that connection with them. And when you finally ask them to take an action, they're going to be so much more likely to do that because they feel like they trust you already.
Yeah, one more thing real quick. You might already have a blog post that's super comprehensive that tells them all this information, that you just turn that into a PDF or an ebook, because it's a little bit more valuable, and people think it's a little bit more valuable than just going to a blog post. So you might already have the information at your fingertips.
Wow, that's so true. So there's so much good information there, you guys. I really appreciate you guys joining us. You know, I mentioned it briefly at the outset, but so Jesse and Becky are not just, they're former wedding photographers with LIMELIFE photography, but they've transitioned into coaching and helping photographers, build and scale businesses, specifically creatives, specifically wedding photographers. And so they're very knowledgeable about this stuff, as you guys can obviously tell. So definitely, as we close here, grab their free ads quick start guide. We got the link there in the chats, and it's on the screen in front of you. Want to again thank Cole's Classroom, who helped support today, and we really appreciate the support that if you're joining us from Cole's Classroom. Hopefully you enjoyed today, and you know, I mean, this is again, to close, such a great time of year to be talking about this. This is the time of year where you have an idea about where your year is looking, especially as a wedding photographer with the busy summer season coming up ahead of us. You have a pretty good idea of what you're looking at. And if you're looking to fill in some, you know, some of those remaining dates, this can be a great way to do that for a lot of photographers who are maybe looking to get to a certain number and they're falling a little bit short. This would be a great time to kind of invest a little bit of time into it. And I think I'll go back from my perspective to one of the things that they've mentioned throughout, and that is that it really starts by knowing your ideal client and then building a solid foundation from there. But hey, Facebook, Instagram, it's a wonderful platform to get in front of your ideal clients. Jesse, Becky, thank you guys so much. This is really comprehensive. I keep using that word, but I think you guys really put together a very comprehensive training today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it was super fun. I'm so happy to be here.
Just a reminder, we're going to get out a rewatch or a replay for everybody who's watching this live. And as always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys being here. Here at ShootDotEdit, we do love to put these on, and always enjoy having so many of you guys join us and participate. So until next time, we just want to say a big thank you, and have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.